Hello there. Hello, Russell Shaw here with the John Maxwell team, and I'm here to talk to you today about the brain revolution. I'm getting certified through Dr. Almond and Dr. McClendon, and we're going to be talking about what the hardware and the software of our brain is. Of course, the hardware is the brain itself, and the software is the way it connects, the way those electrons and all those things move about and then connect with the rest of our body. But as we're thinking about that, I want you to realize the value of being able to control that. Because let me say, there's nothing wrong with your brain. Your brain is probably fine, but the thing about it is we get new things coming in. There's things that come in from here and there and all over the place. And we are also with the fact that, whenever we're learning things, we start with what we're learning, and then we figure out how can I learn it and get it into me better, and then I move forward and like, oh, now I've got it. But if you knew how the brain worked, and some things you could do, you can make sure and do it faster. We want to do it, we want to go further faster. And that's what's so neat about this. And so a lot of times, as Dr. McClendon says, we need to reboot the brain. Let's face it, whenever your computer gets updates, you're clicking along and it says, oh, you need to reboot. It's like, okay, so we get into that reboot. And so it takes all that information in, rescrambles it around, puts it in order and all that good stuff, and then whenever we reboot it, it's like, boom, it works so much better. And so, a lot of times that happens at a really inopportune time. I know as I was doing a course the other day, and my computer come up and added all these new things, and it says, now we got to reboot, and it's like, man, we got to get rolling here. Sometimes, in that case, you have control. But you do have control over your own mind. So let's think about, if I'm going to reboot my brain, what do I need to do? Well, you need to learn what makes it work. We're going through a lot of things now in society with coming out of COVID, and a lot of people are kind of short-tempered. They're kind of not listening to people very well. And so those of us that are getting this, that are understanding this, need to figure out, how do I connect with others better? How can I help them as we move along? And if you own a business, you want to be able to connect with those people. You want to be able to help them through whatever they're trying to do. And so that's really important. So as we're going through this, you got to remember that rebooting your brain is not so much about your intelligence. It's about learning experiences, right? New experiences that we want to be able to put into our life and move forward faster. And so as we're thinking about that, let's look at it like this. Suppose you're getting ready to go on vacation. Let's say we're all going to the beach. And so we're all in the plane, we're getting ready to go to the beach, and we're sitting there waiting to take off, and it's like, I'm ready to get in the air. Ooh, come on. But all of a sudden, the pilot comes across the radar and says, hey, I'm sorry, but we've got some issues and some challenges that we come across, and it may be a few minutes before we get in the air. Just give me a few minutes here and we'll find out what's going on. Got the mechanics are coming, right? And so the mechanics are on the way down, and a few minutes later he comes on and he says, okay, we found the problem. It's a circuit breaker in the belly of the plane, and it shouldn't be very long, and we'll be able to get in the air. So we're waiting and waiting. So about 15 or 20 minutes later, he says, okay, everything is done, so put your chairs and the seat backs up and everything, all those things that you do whenever you're getting ready to take off. And so the question is now, are you willing to take that flight? Yes, now that we've got this circuit breaker in, because, some say yes, some say no, but then the real question is, what's a circuit breaker, and why did it disconnect in the first place? And so basically, a circuit breaker is one of those things that that's part of the wiring that goes from the batteries to, let's say, the engine. This one went to the engine. And so it disconnected and the engine wouldn't start. And so are you willing, now that you know what which circuit breaker was, to get up in the air and think, boop, if that thing opens up, what's the engine going to do? Are we going to be flying on just one engine? And we can probably get and land safely. But at the same time, are you willing to take that chance? And so those sequences that went in there, we got on the plane, we're ready to go, and then all of a sudden we've got some problems, and then we got to figure out what it is, and they find the challenge and they fix it, and now we're getting ready to take off. And are you willing to stay on that flight? And so the same thing happens in our brain, though. A lot of times we're moving along and things are happening pretty pretty smoothly, and all of a sudden there's a circuit breaker that comes along. Oh my gosh, there's a circuit breaker in our lives. And you know what the circuit breakers can be? Those circuit breakers can be procrastination, fear of failure, not knowing what's around the next corner, fear of criticism. My gosh, there's so many things that can cause our circuit breakers to boop. I'm disconnecting here, the brain says, and we're just going to have to kind of hold on here while I figure out what's going on. But what if, before that breaker disconnected, we was kind of prepared for that challenge? What if we got our mind moving in the right direction so that, I don't have to disconnect. I can stay connected to the brain because I'm okay here. And a lot of times these things, these fears, these criticism, all these show up at such an inopportune time. And this course, 5-week course, that's going to help you understand how to stay connected whenever things go wrong. The course is $199 per person. And it's really a valuable course in the fact that we get to understand our brain better. We're going to talk about the software, right? The software, how our brain connects to the things that's going on, so that we can learn to keep that circuit breaker engaged, right? Because so many times in our life, whenever things are coming along, right, it gets to that circuit breaker and boop, it opens right up because we don't know how to handle it. Whereas if we was to take it and start looking at how we think about things, then whenever it comes along, it's like, oh, it's okay, I can handle this. We don't go into procrastination. We don't go into this fear of failure or the 80 other things that can cause us to stop or slow down. And so we all have dreams. We all have goals. And so many times these things get in the way of those dreams and goals. So I'm going to give you a formula here. This is a really simple formula to help you with that circuit breaker. And you're going to learn so much more throughout this course, but this is one thing that I can pass on to you right now. I want you to think about it. Listen to what I say. Thoughts. Write this down. Don't write this down. Write down the next part. This one's going to get you this started, and then I'm going to give you a shorter version. Thoughts, right, trigger feelings. So we got it? Thoughts trigger feelings. Feelings trigger behaviors. And behaviors trigger results. So, you got that? Okay, I'm going to break it down for you simpler. This I want you to write down. As I think, right? What am I thinking? So I feel. Oh my gosh, here it is. I got these feelings about it. As I feel, so I do. As I do, so I have. So that's the one I want you to write down. As I think, what is it that comes to my mind? What am I thinking about? Whenever I get that thought, then I do so as I feel. As I think, so I feel. Oh, this is what I feel about it. As I feel, so I do. This is where I'm going to move with it. And as I do, so I have. If you will just take that whenever you think about something that you think is going to be a circuit breaker opener, popper, yep, circuit breaker popper, go through those emotions. And I tell you what, you can use the same thing to move into new areas so that you can move further faster. Because we are emotional beings, right? And that's where that circuit breaker is connected. That circuit breaker is connected to our emotions, and our emotion says, boop, causes that to open. So if we can get control of those emotions, which is what we feel, we can keep that circuit breaker connected. So, this is just so revolutionary to me. I just love this because it's just so much fun. And what it is our mind thinks in pictures and then what we say. And so what we want to do is start changing those pictures and what we say so that now whenever something happens, we have better pictures and we also have better words that help us get through there. And this is sometimes called triggers that we might use. It might be the fact that we're using something to take a look at it a different way, which is called reframing. But there's so many different things we can do and to fix that. We may use a pattern interrupt. Here you go. I'm going to give you something you can use right now. This is something you can use right now. So kind of take notes on this one. And you'll love this one. Because think about it. You're sitting at your desk doing things. And you're taking care of stuff. And all of a sudden you think of something you need to do. Your pen runs out of ink. So it's like, oh, Pin runs out at 8. So on over, there's another pin. So you get up and you go to the other room to get whatever it is you went for, and you get in there and you're thinking, what did I come in here for? What was it I needed? What did I want? And so here you are standing there, right, thinking, what did I come in here for? And then of course, then you go back, right, and you get ready to say, oh my gosh, I needed an ink pen. I can't believe I forgot that. And so after, of course, then you go back and you get the ink pen, because now you're standing up. Here's what happened. Whenever you had that pattern, whenever you had that thought, while you were sitting down, when you stood up, you changed the pattern. You changed the pattern you were in, and you didn't remind yourself. So a lot of times, if you're to keep that pattern that you're in, when you stand up, say, okay, I'm going to get an ink pen. And this is so much fun. I have so many people tell me, say, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much I remember now just by going, when I stand up and say, this is what I got up for. And I did a class not long, had a bunch of teenagers in it, say, we do that too. We think, when we get older, we do this. But we did it all along. It's just we didn't think about it so much. We always say, oh, I'm getting old. I don't know what we blamed it on when we were younger. And so those are something that's really important. But as we're going through this, there's 3 things that we're going to focus on. And your pictures and those things, this is where we want to think about it. And that is themselves, other people, number 2, and 3, the world around them. So this is the things we want to focus on. We want to focus on ourselves, other people, and the world around us. And you'll start to see things differently. You'll start to see things in a way that you can reframe, and the pattern interrupts, and you'll start to be more effective in the things you do. You'll start moving further, faster, because you're using your brain to remember things in a different way that serve you better. What we're doing is we're learning how the brain works. The brain has always worked this way. We like to blame it on old age or this or that, but the brain has always worked this way. And so whenever we reboot the brain, which is what we're doing, we're taking, and we're not shutting it down, right? We're not just clicking it off, but we are looking at how do I take this information and move it into a new area so that I'm more effective. And that's what we want to do. And so as we go through here, just like whenever I did the stand up and that type, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you some things to do. Then I'm going to show you how to do them. And I want you to write them down, because if you write what you write, you invite into your life. And then we're going to try some things during that week. There'll be some things each week that will say, okay, try this, put this together in your life. And then come back next week and say, and let me know, how did it work out for you? And so as we're thinking about this, we know we're going to create activities that help us to move forward, to help us to be more effective in our life. And so as we're building on activities, as we're building on those things, we will then begin to see our lives begin to change. The next thing I want to talk to you is about the brain itself. The brain is the hardware, right? This is our brain. The brain's actually a little bigger than this. So this is our brain, and our brain is very important, but this is the hardware. We just got finished talking about the software. And I love the idea about the hardware, because sometimes it gets damaged. Sometimes whenever people go and have dementia or Alzheimer's, that's part of it. There's this woman by the name of Nancy. Her husband was Ray. He was one of the he was a lineman on the San Diego Chargers NFL football team. And she was getting dementia. And it's like, what can we do? And they got in touch with Dr. Almond, and he took and did a scan of her brain, and he found out that yes, she was getting dementia. Whenever he did the scan, you could see where portions of her brain here were not functioning in the frontal part of the brain. And he said there's some things we can do to fix that. And she says, great. And so they did that. They didn't have to do anything inside, right? They didn't have to cut her head open or nothing. These are things you can start doing now. You don't have to wait. And I'm going to give you some things that hurt your brain, and Dr. Almond calls it Bright Minds. And Bright Minds is the acronym he uses in order for us to take better care of our brain. But Nancy went on this regimen, and I'm going to give you some of the things that she did right here, right now. And when she started doing that, her brain started improving. And last time I heard, it'd been like 15 years, and she still has not went into dementia. And so she's put that off. And according to Dr. Amen and other neurologists, they believe that by the time people start reaching the age of 85, that 1 in 2 is going to have Alzheimer's or dementia. And so, of course, we don't want that. So let me tell you something. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this right now, this program for $199 per person could be something that will improve your life for many, many years. Because you're going to learn some of the simple things you can do in order to make your brain better. Now, in this course, this 6-week course, we're going to talk more about the software, but I'm going to talk about the hardware too. I'm going to give you some things to do. I got one friend of mine who was really having problems sleeping, and we introduced some of the things in his life, and man, he says, I can't believe how good I'm sleeping now. And so, as we get through here, we're going to see that those are one of the areas that's very important. So here is in Bright Minds, this is what Dr. Amen says, hurts the brain. It hurts the brain when it doesn't get enough blood flow, right? That just makes sense, right? But how can I get more blood flow to it? There's several ways. I'm just going to give you 2 or 3. You can reduce your caffeine. You can reduce the nicotine that you bring in. And you can start exercising. Exercising creates more blood flow. The R in Bright Minds stands for retirement and aging. As we get older, we have a tendency to slow down. And we do, and you may slow down some, but you still need to exercise. And you need to do balance exercises because that's really good for your brain to do balance type exercises. And your iron starts to go up as you age. So what's your iron? Inflammation, any inflammation. He says just flossing your teeth and reducing the gum inflammation that can occur from you not flossing will help to improve your brain. See, I mean, just simple things. The G, genetic vulnerability. Dr. Amen is a very small man, or skinny, I shouldn't say small, but his family is very big, most of them are, and so it's kind of in his genetic, and his genes, it's like our genes we're big, but he took control of that, and there may be something you say, well, this is the way it is, and you don't have to resign yourself to that. I don't know what changes you can make, but let's take a look. Head trauma, any type of head trauma you've had can cause you to have problems thinking, have problems doing other things. Toxins, alcohol, drugs, and the fruits and vegetables you have toxins on. But there's so many places that those come from. Mental health, depression, ADHD. He's actually helped people who've been depressed or ADHD to actually kind of turn things around in their life. Immunity and infections. Of course, whatever immunity infection you may have, but is there something that you can do? I mean, that's something you have to see a doctor about. Neurochromes, abnormal thyroid, your testosterone out. I mean, something you need to just have your doctor check. Diabetes, right? Diabesity, he calls it beastity. But anyway, anytime you've got diabetes, you're overweight or obese. Let me tell you something. Remember dinosaurs, right? Whenever you see a dinosaur, if you watch it, it's like big body and a little bitty brain, okay? Well, the reason I tell you that is because as we get bigger, and I've got a gut on me right now, I do, and so I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm a little overweight, but as we get bigger, our brains get smaller, and so whenever we lose weight, our brains will then return to its normal size. And then sleep. Sleep is so important for you and for me. So as you think about the brain, right? I mean, there's several parts and pieces and those type of things to the brain. But you should envy a really good brain scan. And you can get a good brain scan by exercising, drinking lots of water. The brain needs lots of water. The brain is very, very soft. It is the consistency of butter. And so whenever your brain, right, and you're out playing or doing something or get hit on the head, what happens? The brain gets pushed up against the skull. Now I think my skull is pretty nice. I know I got a few bumps here and there, bumps and lumps. But on the inside of your brain, it is very uneven. It even has some sharp bones that stick out. I mean, this is in everybody's brain. This is the way everybody's inside skull is. And so whenever you hit too hard, the brain actually moves around and it's held in place by the liquid that surrounds it. And so if you hit something and you hit that up against your skull, then yes, you could cause some real damage. So as you're thinking about what you want to do, of course, if you want to join this course, I would love for you to, because I want to see you live a life. I want to be able to see you getting around in the old folks' home and driving everybody crazy, because you got energy, you know who you are, you know what's going on, and you can take care of yourself. And you can do that much longer. Or you can continue on the path you're on and take the idea of maybe Alzheimer's, dementia setting in early. And we don't want that. Nobody wants to go there. And so I hope to see you. I hope that you can join me, because this is really important. And it's also important right now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait till you start getting something going on. Start now to take control of your brain. Not only the software of your brain, but the hardware of your brain, so you can go further faster. The earlier you start, I love it whenever I get teens in my class. It's like, oh man, I wish I would have known this when I was your age. So, I look forward to hearing from you. If you'll click on the button below, you can connect with me directly. Give me your email address, or you can text me at 304-719-9490. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'm excited about what's going to happen in your life because of what you're going to do. Thank you for your time.